99% of English learners will fail the final 10 questions of this ultimate grammar test. Do you have the logic to prove you are in the top 1%? Let's find out right now. 1. She to the store every Sunday. This sentence describes a habitual action in the present, signaled by the phrase every Sunday. Therefore, we need the present simple tense. He is a third-person singular subject, which requires the verb to end in s or is goes. Go is plural. Go in needs an auxiliary verb, and as go is grammatically incorrect. 2. I have an apple and banana. The noun banana is a singular, countable noun starting with a consonant sound the letter B. The indefinite article a is required here, and is for vowel sounds. The implies a specific banana which is not established in this context. And some is only used for plural or uncountable nouns. 3. They watching a movie right now. The time marker right now indicates the present continuous tense, which requires the to be verb plus an ing verb. For the plural subject they, the correct present form of the to be verb is are. Am is only for I, is for singular subjects. And B is the uninflected base form. 4. We didn't any money on the trip. When forming a negative sentence in the past simple tense, we use the auxiliary verb did followed by not, didn't, and the base form of the main verb. The base form is spend, spent. Is the past participle, spending is the gerund, and spends is the present tense singular form. 5. The book is the table. Prepositions of place show the physical relationship between objects to indicate that an object is resting on the flat surface of another object. We use on. It means inside a three-dimensional space. At is for a specific geographic point and to indicates movement or direction. 6. He is tallest boy in the class. Superlative adjectives, which compare three or more things and show the highest or lowest degree of equality like tallest, are always preceded by the definite article the, therefore. The tallest is correct, and are indefinite. And leaving this space blank is grammatically incorrect. 7. Does she a car? In present simple questions, we use the auxiliary verb do or does followed by the subject and the base form of the main verb, even though the subject she usually takes has. The auxiliary does already carries the third-person singular marker. So the main verb reverts to its base form, have. I bought this shirt today. The word ago is used exclusively with the past simple tense to show how far back in the past a specific action happened, measuring backward from the present moment. Since refers to a specific starting point in time. And before is typically used with perfect tenses to mean earlier than another past event. 9. Look at birds in the sky. Demonstrative pronouns indicate both quantity and proximity. Birds is a plural noun, and in the sky implies a physical distance away from the speaker. Therefore, we use the plural. Distant pronoun those. This is singular and near. That is singular and far. And these is plural but near. 10. My brother like coffee. To make a negative present simple sentence with an action or state verb like, we use the auxiliary do not or does not, since my brother acts as a third-person singular subject he. The correct auxiliary is doesn't, isn't, and aren't are only used when the main verb of the sentence is the to-be verb. 11. If it rains tomorrow, we're at home. This is a first conditional sentence, which is used to express a highly probable or real situation in the future. The strict grammar structure is a plus present simple. Will plus base verb, therefore. Will stay is the correct main clause. The other options mix up second and third conditional. Structures incorrectly. 12. I knew him since we were children. The preposition since indicates a state or action that started in the past and continues without interruption into the present. This requires the present perfect. Tense have known. Know is a state verb and is almost never used in a continuous-ing form. New implies the relationship is completely over. 13. Do you mind the window? In English grammar, the verb mind, when used in the context of requesting an action do you mind, must be followed directly by a gerund, which is an ing verb functioning as a noun. Therefore, opening is correct. Infinitives to open or plain base verbs are strictly forbidden after mind. 14. This is the man's car was stolen. The relative pronoun whose is used to show possession. Linking the subject the man directly to his property his car, it roughly translates to the car of whom, who acts as a subject pronoun, and whom acts as an object pronoun. And that can replace who or which, but never indicates possession. 15. She told me that she the report already. This sentence is an example of reported speech. Because the introductory reporting verb told is in the past tense, the tense of the original statement must shift one step back in time. The original present perfect has finished shifts backwards to the past perfect had finished. To show the action predates her speaking. 16. You should give up. Phrasal verbs that end in a preposition, such as give up, look forward to, or insist on, must be followed by either a noun or a gerund ending verb, because a gerund functions syntactically as a noun in this context. Smoking is the only grammatically acceptable option to follow the preposition up. 17. Neither the teacher nor the students here. The rule of proximity dictates that when compound subjects are joined by correlative conjunctions like neither, nor, or either, or, the verb must agree in number with the subject that is physically closest to it in the sentence. The closest subject is the students plural, so the plural verb are is required. 18. I am used to early in the morning. The idiomatic phrase to be used to means to be accustomed to a habit. Crucially, the word to here functions as a preposition, not as part of an infinitive verb phrase. Prepositions must always be followed by a noun or a gerund, therefore. The gerund getting up is the only correct structural choice. 19. He had his hair yesterday. This sentence utilizes the causative structure have something done, which expresses arranging or paying for someone else to perform a service for you. The rigid grammatical structure is have plus object plus past participle. the past participle of the irregular verb cut remains exactly the same, cut. 20. She suggested to the beach. The verb suggest belongs to a specific category of English verbs that must be followed directly by a gerund ending verb when an action is being recommended, without specifying a new subject pronoun via that clause. Therefore, gone is the proper form. It cannot be followed by an infinitive to go. 21. Not until the sun came up to sleep. When a sentence deliberately begins with a negative or limiting adverbial phrase like not until, hardly, or rarely for dramatic emphasis, it triggers mandatory subject auxiliary inversion in the main clause. The auxiliary did must precede the subject she, followed by the base verb, creating did she go. 22. Had I known you were coming, I'd a cake. This is an advanced inverted third conditional sentence, representing an unreal or imaginary past situation. The phrase had I known simply replaces if I had known, the main result clause. Must utilize the perfect conditional structure. Would plus have plus past participle, making. Would have baked correct. 23. It is imperative that he the meeting on time. Sentences expressing urgency, importance, or demand using adjectives like imperative, crucial, or verbs like insist require the subjunctive mood in the subsequent that clause. The subjunctive rigidly uses the bare base form of the verb for all subjects, stripping away the normal third person s, making attend correct. 24. Scarcely the house when it started to rain. The adverb scarcely carries a negative meaning. When placed at the front of a sentence for stylistic emphasis, it triggers subject auxiliary inversion when describing two sequential past events. This is typically used with the past perfect tense, placing the auxiliary had before the subject we, forming had we left. 25. The committee unable to agree on a final decision. Collective nouns like committee, team, or jury can take either singular or plural verbs in British and international English depending on context. Since the sentence explicitly states they are unable to agree, they are acting as divided individuals rather than a unified single entity. Therefore, the plural are is correct. 26. He will be working tomorrow. This tests tag question mechanics. The primary statement he will be working tomorrow is positive, meaning the attached tag must be negative, the auxiliary verb in. The statement is will, so the tag must use the negative form will not. Contracted strictly to won't, followed by the matching subject pronoun he. 27. I'd rather you smoking in my car. The phrase would rather followed by a subject pronoun you is used to express a preference about someone else's behavior, grammatically to refer to a present or future preference in this structure. We must shift the tense backward and use the past simple. Therefore, the negative past auxiliary didn't is correct. 28. By next year, she for this company for a decade. The phrase by next year sets a definitive future deadline, while for a decade measures an ongoing duration of time leading up to that exact deadline. This requires the future perfect continuous tense will have been plussing to emphasize the Uninterrupted, ongoing nature of the action until a specific future point. 29. Try you might. You won't be able to open that jar. The syntactic structure verb base form plus as plus subject plus might is a highly advanced concession clause, translating roughly to even though you try very hard. The word as is the only conjunction that accurately fits this specific idiomatic inversion, though typically follows an adjective or adverb in similar structures. 30. The more you study, you will become. This sentence utilizes the correlative comparative structure, the plus comparative adjective, to demonstrate that two variables change together proportionally. Therefore, the smarter is strictly required in the second clause to perfectly balance the more in the first clause.